Hey there rulers, DMO73 here, and over this past year we had a really cool new format introduced to Force of Will. We're here to show you how it's done. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Arcana Battle Colosseum format, or ABC for short, is a way for you to play multiplayer games of Force of Will with your friends in a more casual environment. While the format can be played by just 2 players, the best course of action is to play it with a group of 4. The biggest part of ABC that's different from regular Wanderer is the deck building. First, you start with an Arcana ruler, one of 10 dual-color rulers specifically for the ABC format. This ruler represents the 2 attributes that you are allowed to have inside of your deck. This also limits the stones that you may have in your stone deck, as your stones must only produce the will symbols of the 2 colors of your ruler. This means no magic stone of Moonshade, and no stones that have any ability to produce a will symbol beyond what you can normally play. From there we get into the deck building restrictions. First off, the deck can only be exactly 60 cards, and it's singleton, meaning you can only have 1 copy of any card with the same name, other than basic magic stones or cards that specifically say you may play any number of copies of this card in your deck. A main deck can also not contain any cards with no attribute, so no void cards. Within this 60 cards, you may play up to 4 ruler cards without the Arcana type. You must play exactly 20 cards of total cost 1. You must have at least 15 cards with a total cost of 2, and at least 10 cards with a total cost of 3 or more. Keep in mind that alternative cards combine the casting cost of both halves, so keep that in mind when considering which level they fall into. The stone base for ABC is also 12 stones minimum. As I said before, the cards in your deck must match one of the 2 attributes of your ABC ruler. Some other big differences is that initial life is 6,000 instead of 4,000, and no player has Energize, but also every player draws a card during their first turn. Only 1 player can win ABC, meaning as soon as 1 person fulfills the victory conditions, they win the whole pod. The victory conditions of ABC are being the one to deal the lethal damage to one other player, or by earning 3 winning crystals, which are awarded when a J ruler you control deals 600 or more combat damage to your opponent. Once you get 3 winning crystals, you win the game. ABC also uses a flow when considering who you can attack. Each player may only attack the player who is next to them clockwise. When playing ABC, there's also a difference between players and opponents, which is why seating arrangement will matter, and why seating arrangement at the beginning of a match must be randomized. If a card refers to an opponent, it only refers to the player directly to your left or right. Cards like this that have continuous abilities referring to your opponent will affect both the player to your left and your right at the same time. Effects like this that have a one-time effect affecting your opponent, you will have to choose whether to impact the player to your left or to your right. If a card says target player or doesn't refer to an owner of the card, then it can target any player or anything on the field. I bet you're wondering how to get those rulers from your hand into the game. Well, by using the Convoke ability of your Arcana ruler, you may play this during your main timing to pay the cost and put the ruler from your hand into your ruler zone as a ruler with 3 Convoke counters. Rulers with Convoke counters can be targeted for attacks by your opponent, and whenever they are dealt combat damage, they remove 1 Convoke counter. This is also true of J rulers with no stats, such as Reflect Refrain or Lilius Petal. If a J ruler with stats is dealt damage, it simply takes damage as normal. If a ruler or J ruler loses all of its Convoke counters, you remove it from the game entirely immediately. If a non-Arcana J ruler is destroyed, regardless of how many Convoke counters are on it, or if it has Imperishable, remove it from the game immediately. These are the fundamentals of ABC, but there are a couple other deck building elements to be considerate of. First off, ABC is not Wanderer and so follows its own independent ban list, which can be found in the link in the description. In addition, players may use both Tails and Villain cards in the same ABC deck. Just a quick walkthrough of how to set up a round of ABC. Have all 4 players decide who will be going first. This is typically decided by rolling for high roll and the determining player order from highest to lowest. Then you arrange yourself at the table in a square, determining who is going to be your opponents that you can attack and who you will be defending from, as well as the player who is not your opponent. Then simply begin the game and presume play clockwise until 1 player finishes a victory condition. If you want to see a match played out, you can follow the card in the corner to go watch a match, or you can click on the link in the description for more specific rules as well as the actual CR for ABC format. So there you have it. That is everything you need to know to start playing ABC. If you are an old school Force of Will player trying out new cards, this is a really awesome way to see what new Force of Will design is about in a more chill environment. And for those of you who are newer players, it's a really cool way to go back and explore old cards that were printed in a way that doesn't feel like you're having to go an uphill battle playing against newer cards. ABC is an absolute blast to play. It's certainly something that I think you should try to pick up with your friends, and I hope you enjoy it. Can't wait to see more of it in here on the channel, and looking forward to hearing from you how it goes in your playgroup. Until next time though, this is DMO73 saying class dismissed.